How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. In this video, we're doing an engine oil change on a Kia Optima. This is going to be the 2.4 liter 4-cylinder engine. I'm going to show you the items we need, and I'm going to show you all of the specs step by step so that you don't miss anything and you can do this yourself easily and confidently. Starting off with the items we're using is SAE 5W20 motor oil. This is full synthetic and has the API certification, which means it's great quality. For convenience, I'm going to link the Amazon brand, which is also a great oil at a great price. A lot of these items as well, I'm going to link on my Amazon affiliate storefront, which is down in the link below. And you can find your items for convenience, have them shipped to your door, and there should be a great price with free returns on most of these items. We're gonna have our oil catch pan here, a funnel so that we don't make a mess, a rag or two of some sort, some gloves to keep things clean, this engine oil filter, which makes removing the oil filter easier. A lot of times it's on there pretty tight, so we want a tool of some sort to take it off. We're gonna have a ratchet with a 17mm socket. That's to remove the oil drain plug. Here I have this STP filter. I got it at AutoZone. I'm going to link a few options down in the link below for your convenience. And then we're gonna have some crush washers for the oil drain plug so that we have a new crush washer. That's very important so that we don't have any leaks. Reusing the one that's on there is never really a great idea. And then here we're gonna have some sort of cardboard and some sacks here to absorb any oil. If it spills or makes a mess, we don't want to stain our concrete. We're going to just drive around for a little bit until we get normal operating temperatures in the engine. This is gonna help the oil flow out easier. 5 to 10 minutes should be more than enough. You don't want to drive it so long that the oil gets too hot to handle. You can see the previous oil change was done at a Kia dealership, and they did a 88-930 recommendation, which is a 5,000 mile interval. So pretty conservative on their end, but I'm going to follow what they recommend, which is going to be a 5,000 mile interval. To lift the car, I'm using my trusty race ramps and some wheel chocks on the back so that the car doesn't roll back. If you are using a floor jack to raise the vehicle, make sure to use jack stands. Please don't use the floor jack. It's not the safest thing. As always, place the vehicle in park and do apply the parking brake. We're going to start by opening the oil fill cap. Twist to the left, lefty-loosey, leave it at an angle, and I'm gonna pull up the dipstick just a bit there. This ensures smooth airflow when you're draining it from the bottom so that's not glugging out. It's a nice smooth flow, and that's why we do this. To locate the engine oil filter and the drain plug, it's pretty easy, straight down the middle. We're going to have a circular opening for the engine oil filter. And then here you're going to have a teardrop shape. That teardrop shape gives you access to the drain plug. If you do have the newer models, it has a cover with around 7 to 10 screws that are 10mm little screws that you take off. It's a cover that removes, and you should have access to the oil pan from the bottom as well. This one's just a little more convenient on the older models. And then here you can see my setup. I have the covers in case there's any drip or spill, which sometimes with this plastic happens. It's gonna catch on this, absorb instead of staining your concrete. And then I have my catch pan set up here, ready for draining this in the back. With my 17mm socket, I'm gonna crack this oil drain plug open, and you can see that little silver part is the crush washer, so do make sure that comes off when you are removing the drain plug. Sometimes it can stay stuck on there and you don't wanna put a double washer because that could cause some leakage if you don't catch that. So I just cracked that open, it's ready to remove. And if you do have this type of catch pan, just make sure that the airflow is open and that you did remove this cover. Otherwise, it can fill up and overfill pretty quickly and spill over. So just make sure to have this open as well. Do have your catch pan in a position that you anticipate the oil is going to shoot out at an angle. So you have it slid back just a bit there. Some people might say because the car's on ramps, it might not drain out efficiently. The engine oil drain plug on the back is angled in a way that all of it's going to come out from the back end like such. So the ramps shouldn't affect it in any way. If you are having it tilted on the side with just a jack stand on one side, it could affect it a little, but it shouldn't make a difference. So we're just gonna twist this off here, and we wanna make sure that that crush washer comes off, so we'll check in a bit. There we go. Oil's a bit warm, but I let it cool down for around 5 to 10 minutes as well, so I don't burn myself with that oil. And we do see there that the crush washer did come off. On this Kia, we have the oil intervals set for 5,000 miles. I'll show you how to do it inside of the car to set the intervals at your liking. Because this is full synthetic, it should be pretty good. Full synthetic has more additives and should have better protection and resistance to wear. So we're just gonna let this drain fully for around 5 to 10 minutes as well. We wanna make sure that it's just slow little drips. Some people might stop here and just fill it up. I like to take my time with it. While we wait for the oil to drain, I'm going to remove this crush washer. Sometimes it's a little stuck on here, so just pry it off and it should come off. and we're going to place a new one on. And then just inspect your threads, make sure everything looks good. They're not stripped, there's no cracking or warping so that it doesn't leak in the future. Just clean this up with a rag. Here's the old crush washer, and then here is the new one. I just want to make sure that they are the same. And indeed they are there. What's great about these crush washers, the Kia one is the same size as my Honda ones. So if y'all are ordering crush washers, you're gonna see sometimes 14 millimeter, which is what this is. What 14 millimeter signifies is from the inner end to the inner end. And sometimes it can mean 18, which is from the outer end to outer end. So 18 talks about the outside, 14 is on the inside part. So just do keep that in mind. And for your convenience, again, I will link these in the description below. I love getting these. These were under $10 and you get around 20 of them. Whereas if you go to Kia, in my case, when I went to Honda to get these were like $3 to $4 each just for one. And it's really overpriced. So this is really great. If you are very particular, you're gonna see on the bottom, it's the metal. On the top, it's that softer crush material. You can line it up with the metal on the bottom and the crush on the top. And you can line it up so that this crushes onto the oil pan. Again, if you're very particular, shouldn't really make too much of a difference. So now that the oil is coming to a slow drip, I'm gonna come in and re-add the drain plug. Make sure the threads sit on right, turn it nice and slow, clockwise. I'm just gonna hand tighten here. And you can see we had a little bit of a drip there. That's why we want these rags under so that it doesn't stain our floor. I got a little drop there, but I'll clean it up quickly. Let's just clean up some of this oil here so that it doesn't burn or drip onto our floor. For torque specs when tightening your engine drain plug, it's gonna be 25 to 33 foot-pounds. Keep in mind, most of these oil pans are aluminum, so you don't wanna over-tighten this. Just nice and snug. I'm gonna do it by feel. So about quarter twist after it's on there snug, and you don't wanna overdo it because one, it's harder for the next person. Two, you might strip it and damage the bottom of the oil pan here. You can see here, removing it by hand is almost always never the case. We're gonna have to use our oil filter removal tool. Very easy. You just grab this and you're gonna twist it. I'm gonna need 2 hands here, so give me 1 second. You can see here, I'm just gonna grab and twist lefty-loosey. And now I should be able to remove this by hand, and then just make sure that your oil pan is in position. Try to keep this upright and then flip it over so that it doesn't spill on you. And as soon as we remove this filter, we notice there's not anything coming out, so it's pretty much ready to replace instantly as soon as you remove this filter here. In addition, we always want to make sure that the black rim from the filter that you can see there, that gasket, isn't left on here. That can happen, very rare, but you don't want it to be on here and put a new filter because you're gonna have a double gasket just like the crush washer, and we can have leaks and spills and have low oil because of that. So just make sure, it takes half a second to look. If it's dirty, just clean it up. Really quick, do keep this in mind. You're gonna see the oil's dripping there. It's not coming out of this hole. What's happening is it's flowing down the back and it's dripping on the backside here, which I didn't catch right away. And we got a bit of a puddle of oil there, so I moved everything back here pretty quickly. So just keep this in mind. No video is probably going to point that out. That's happening because I have it on the ramps here. So do be sure to just replace the filter pretty quickly and anticipate that the oil is going to flow back and drip down like it was doing here. What we're going to do now is prime the new filter. What that means is we're going to fill it about halfway with oil and then also get some oil and just rub it around here so it goes on easier and comes off easy as well in the future. I'm doing this with one hand, so just bear with me. And then just lubricate it like this. We're just going to clean the mating surface. You can see there, nice and clean. Next, we're going to come in with a new filter and then just spin this on clockwise. Once it starts to seat a little snug, just come in with a rag because there can be some oil on this, so just get a better grip. And you're just gonna do about a quarter turn, nothing too crazy, because you wanna make sure that you can remove it, but it's also on there securely. So, and then my preference is to have this on a little tighter than not because I'd rather be safe than sorry, and I already have the tool to remove this in the future, so no big deal. We're all pretty much used to using a tool to remove this. Now let's just clean things up here a bit so that we have no drips. And then do keep in mind, because we are at an angle with the ramps, that this was spilling in the back, so we just want to clean the plastic a little bit as well and let that drip. You can see it's still dripping there from the back. If you want to go down the OEM route, the Hyundai and Kia filter is going to be here, genuine parts, 26,300. 35505. I actually went to Kia yesterday, but their parts department closes at 6 p.m., so I couldn't get a filter. I just went to my nearest AutoZone and got an equivalent filter. It was around $6. It shouldn't be that pricey. OEM shouldn't run more than around $11. And then just do keep in mind, because we are changing our oil at regular intervals, if that's 5,000 to 7,000 miles, these standard filters should be fine. They're rated for 5,000 to 10,000 miles. And with the used filter and your used oil, you can go to your nearest auto store, AutoZone or O'Reilly's in my case, and they'll take your used oil and your used filter and recycle it for you, so you don't have to dispose of it at any inconvenient location. That's pretty easy. Should be in your local neighborhood. Okay, now that we've done some cleanup, I cleaned my oil catch pan here. That way when I put it in the trunk of my car to drive to O'Reilly's, it's not going to be messy. Everything's closed. We have no more spills on the bottom. We torqued our drain plug. Our filter is on. Everything's clean. What I'm going to do here is see how much oil from the catch pan from the previous oil change that was done at a Kia service center. I'm going to fill this up to see if it's more or less than 5 quarts. It's a good way to see how Kia does it and if they do it to spec. On the right, we have the used oil. On the left, this is a brand new 5-quart sealed jug. So this is where the 5-quart mark is. And then here is where the old oil is. I did spill some. And then the other thing I'm thinking, within 5,000 miles, this Kia does have almost 90,000 miles. So one thing I'm thinking is it could have burned 0.2 quarts. Pretty common that cars do burn oil. So what I'm thinking here in this difference, again, 5 quarts here, this is around maybe 4.7, is some of it's me spilling it, and then some of it might be the engine burned oil over 5,000 miles. But I do think Kia probably used the 4.9 to 5 quart measurement if this is the oil that we have here from Kia. What we're going to do next is add our oil from the top. Great, next step, let's fill it up. So we want to have our funnel in place. You don't need a funnel, but it's going to keep things cleaner. And then just looking at the cap here, SAE5W20, just to confirm. What I found really annoying is that for this engine, I watched around 6 videos and looked on forums, and no one gave a clear number on how much oil you need to fill this up. It ranged from 4.3 quarts to 5.3 quarts. That includes the filter on the bottom that we primed and put in. We put a little bit of new oil to keep that in mind. I'm going to just go ahead and add all 5 quarts and see what reading we get there. I'm gonna just drive the car off, let it rest on an even surface level, let it run for around 2 to 3 minutes just so that things warm up and circulate, and then we're gonna do a measurement of the dipstick. I've let the car run for about 5 minutes now. We're at about normal operating engine temperature there. I'm gonna show you as well that scrolling down here, you're gonna see we're almost at around 400 miles over the service that is recommended. And that's because if we press this button here, you're gonna scroll down and you're going to go to service. Once you get service, you press OK. Whoever worked on this car previously set it for 5,000 mile intervals. That's why it's around 400 miles over its recommended service. But keep in mind, a lot of people typically do 7,000 miles. That's pretty normal. And because we're running full synthetic, it does have a lot of additives, and that oil will last for a pretty long time. So 5,000 miles is pretty conservative on this oil change. And then in a bit, I'm going to show you how to reset that. Next step is to turn off the car. We're going to leave it off for about 2 to 3 minutes. We're going to let the oil trickle down to the bottom of the oil pan, and then we're going to use the dipstick to see our levels, if it's low, high, and then we're going to add accordingly. We ran the car for around 3 minutes, let it rest for around 3 to 5 minutes. On this dipstick, it reads as L and F. We want it a little towards the F line, but we don't want to overfill it because that can cause damage to your engine. So just clean the dipstick here, nice and dry. Okay, with the 5 quarts added, let's go ahead and check the levels now that it's been sitting for a bit. And we're going to see there, we're right under the full mark. That's 5 quarts. So perhaps this car does take 5.3 quarts. I saw that on the AmSoil website. If you look at the owner's manual, it says to fill it between the L and full. So I like to be just under the full. That is with 5 quarts. All that's left to do is to reset service interval on the inside. So what we're going to do to reset the oil life, we're going to press this button here. It might be a little different if you have the newer model. We're going to scroll down. Service, we're going to press OK. Then we're going to see it says back, on and off, and you see it has 5,000 miles there. So we're going to select off, press OK. Then we're going to press on, OK. And then I'm going to scroll down. Now I'm in the zeros. So again, up, when I scroll down, it's going to be in the zeros. Up moves it out, down moves it in. Now we're in the thousands there. And then to give us numbers, we're going to select OK. Every time we select OK, it's going to add 1,000. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. That's the interval that we want. If you want to select months, you can as well. And by doing that, we're going to select the downward arrow. And we're in the months. I don't really mind the months, but just the miles. Now that we're here, I'm going to scroll up till we get to back. Press OK. And then let me select service to see if this is confirmed. I press OK. And we can see there our interval is set for 5,000 miles. All right, everyone, hope you found this video useful. As always, do feel free to drop down questions and tips of your own that you have or experiences that you have. Again, all of the items that I used are going to be in the link down below for your convenience so that you can order them. You don't have to drive to the store. They'll all be available for you, and I'll link a few options so that you can select whatever brand you prefer, or if you have a certain liking to something that you gravitate towards. That said, have a great day, have a great evening, Striker out.